Eyup, we're going to do his championship predictions for this weekend's games. The League One champs will be arriving soon. Middlesbrough and Baggies Friday night. I'm doing a watch along, so I'll be live at 7:45. Big game. Every single time that I've made a prediction on Middlesbrough so far this season, I think I've got it wrong in terms of the score. Most of the time in terms of result, because I've given them a few draws, a few losses. I did get the Preston one right because they've just come back from a 2-apiece draw with Preston, haven't they? Not a bad point because Preston started well. Forgot about lights. One sec, guys. Thing is, it's not a game, this, that I look at and think, I'm going to give Middlesbrough the first win here. They're top at league. They've won 4, drawn 1, obviously a good side. Rob Edwards, I do think, has come in and he just got him going straight away. I think the players have bought into what he is and what he's doing. And I also think that interview helped after the Preston game when we were talking about Whittaker getting booed off, which is crazy when you are top at league. Either booed off or they cheered him off. Anyway, they were like taking piss when Whittaker come off. And Rob Edwards come out and he were like, what are you doing, effectively? And I really think that'll have helped. Well, get dressing room a bit of a lift. Not that they needed it anyway, because they're top at league. But West Brom aren't a bad side at all. West Brom are a good team. I'm going to give Middlesbrough a win, though. Like, even though West Brom are a good side, I do think they are flawed in certain areas. I still think they're not going to score enough goals, really, in comparison to other sides that are going to be in and around top 6. Defensively, West Brom look good, but I do think they are still lacking a bit of firepower, which I also thought was the same thing last season with them. Apart from Madja, they didn't have loads of goals from different areas at pitch. I don't think the wingers contributed enough with goal side of things. Obviously, Price has started well from here, but I think Middlesbrough have just looked more well-rounded in the games and the bits that I've seen so far out of these two teams. And it's going to be the first win that I give Middlesbrough. So, congratulations, West Brom. I'll go 2-1 to start. I don't like doing that scoreline because it just infuriates me when people pick it all the time. But I do think that is the most likely outcome. Middlesbrough 2, West Brom 1. Birmingham and Swansea. Swansea are a decent outfit, you know. They lost the first game, I believe, up at Middlesbrough, who, again, are top at league. But other than that, they've not lost in any competition. 4 wins and 2 draws, not bad at all. Birmingham, 3 losses in a row without scoring in all comps. Not really what I expect. I don't know what a Birmingham fan's perspective is on this, but it's not what I think at all or what I expect from a side that was so good last year. And the personnel that they brought in as well, you'd think that they just steamroll it, really, because they already had a top championship side, and like a top half championship side in League One, hence the 100 and whatever points they got. Adding to it with some of the best players in the league, full stop. I expected them to just sort of breeze through a lot of teams. Obviously, the Kyogo one speaks for itself. I think he's an outstanding striker. But I did say it in my EFL review the other day, I just think it's a case of Birmingham's manager not really knowing his best team yet with all the players that they brought in. I do think it changes here. Like, I don't think they'll lose this game. Even though I said I think Swansea are a decent outfit, which they are, slightly flawed in certain areas. I don't think they offer a great deal going forward. But that's not really been the issue for Birmingham to deal with anyway. They're conceding 1 or 2 max, but they're not scoring or creating a great deal. And Swansea have only conceded 4 goals. Both of these are quite low scorers, just across board anyway. There's not been any game really where there's been a lot of excitement going on. Swansea 6 goals, 4 conceded. Birmingham 4 goals, 5 conceded. I do think it'll be a narrow win to Birmingham. I'm not going another 2-1. I'll go just a 1-0. Just anything to sort of turn tide round a bit for Brom. I'll go 1-0 to the Brummy boys. Oof. Leicester and Cov. I'll tell you what, I'd debate doing a watch-along for this as well, because it'll be a big game, but Barnes are on at the same time. So, one thing I will say immediately out of the two teams here, Leicester have come down, and I'm impressed with the points tally so far. I sort of think they're getting better game on game, but I've not seen enough yet to think, oh, these are going to be right at the top. Whereas Coventry, despite obviously being in 6th place, they've only won twice out of 5 games. They've got 3 draws so far. They've just not had the luck, really, in games. I think Coventry are one of easily the best teams in this division, easily. I think they'll be top 4 minimum. And I still think Leicester are obviously a good team, and the home aspect can play into this, and the fact that it's a derby and it's going to have that extra spice about it. But I just think Coventry are just really good, and sometimes that's all you need to say. I do think both teams score, just based on the bits that I've seen so far. Obviously, Leicester, I think Leicester ended up doing quite well to get a point out of Oxford when they were playing with 10 men for an hour. I just think the actual teams that both these clubs can put on pitch, I think Coventry's players look better. Obviously, that can change, and it's not always a thing that best team wins game. I think the home aspect is really... It's got me by the balls, baby. I can't quite get Coventry to win, even though I think they're a better side and will finish higher. I will go with a 1-1 with Leicester and Cov in whatever this derby's called. Because I just think the home aspect for Leicester, I didn't really take it into account when I said that Birmingham, I thought they'd go there and win, and Leicester ended up winning 2-0. I think Coventry look the best out of them all so far, but I'll go Leicester 1, Coventry 1 scoreline. Ooh, big good game though. QPR and Stoke. Well, the first prediction for me in this game is Kone goal. immediately, off the bat, one of the best strikers in the division. I've been banging this drum since we first played in Barnsley last season. He is absolutely outrageous. He's such a good striker. And I think despite Stoke having quite a good defensive record so far, they've only conceded 3 goals in 5 games. I do think QPR, despite the slight leak in the bum, but they are always good value for a goal. I do think both teams score here. It does seem to be a running theme with QPR anyway. But Stoke, how long until we start taking them serious? They've got 4 wins and a loss in the first 5 games. They've only lost at home to West Brom. They're a good side. I think I need to see a full 90 of them first before I can truly give them any real credit. Stoke. But I think it'll be the first draw for him this season. Like I said, 4 wins and a loss so far for Stoke. QPR 2 wins on Bonds, but again, the leaky defence is something that I can't really ignore. I will go a Desi. We'll go QPR 2, Stoke 2. Blackburn and Ipswich. Oh, you know what? I love Ismail. All right, so you know where this is going. But I love Ismail. I just want to put that one out there right now. They've won the last 2 away games, 3-0 away at Hull and then a 1-0 win away at Blackburn, but they lost at home to Norwich in between it. I just think going away from the sort of harder thing to speak about here, Blackburn, and we just speak about Ipswich, and obviously league favourites for a reason with the personnel and the manager that they've got. If they can keep him across full season, McKenna, because obviously there's the West Ham link and maybe some other jobs that will come up. You might get some at newly promoted sides that end up sacking the gaffers, Leeds. But I think the 5-0 win against Sheffield United, despite in first half I thought it was quite an even game, second half it did look boys against men, and I also think they just looked full of confidence. I know they were playing whipping boys in Sheffield, but they looked so confident. They looked like they had full understanding of what they're doing in second half, what Kieran McKenna wants from them. And I think it might have just given them a kick up arse and a bit of a boost that they needed. Not to just scrape past and beat Sheffield United 1-0, but to absolutely arsehole them. And it could have been more in second half because Sheffield United defensively were awful. But Ipswich that's more like it. That's what I expect. Blackburn will undoubtedly give them an harder game with Ismail than what sellers of Sheffield United are going to do. We all know what Ismail's like. He's very much a disciplinarian, isn't he? And I think if they were to lose 5-0 ever, then I'd hear him from here in Barnsley going ape shit in dressing room. But I do make Ipswich favourites for this. I do think they'll win. Like I said, closer game than Sheffield United won because of what the manager situation. Just leave it at that. But I think Ipswich win this 2-0. With the way that Blackburn's games go, the last 3 games has been a 3-0 win, a 2-0 loss, and a 1-0 win. So there's not a lot of both teams to score going on. And I just think Ipswich, I think it'll really give them a bit of a springboard and be able to propel themselves forward now and proper kick on after that 5-0 win. So I'll go Ipswich 2, Blackburn 0. Derby and Preston. Now this is a tough one. My immediate instinct is draw, just straight off bat. I think these 2 managers specifically, Eustace and Eke, they always want to be in games, don't they? I think they're more concerned about not losing as opposed to trying to go and win. When your expectation is, let's just stay up and then see what we can do after that. I think you just want to get as many points as possible, early doers, as opposed to losing them and trying to catch up later on, as both these were doing last season in a relegation battle. A couple of draws from both already. They've both got 2 each in their opening 5 games. Derby, obviously, a really nice win away at West Brom. But I do think the road they'll look for quite a bit, and defensively I do worry about them still, even with a clean sheet away at West Brom. And Preston obviously took league leaders Middlesbrough to a Desmond. Immediate instinct 1-1, but I just think, you know what, sometimes you can just overanalyze stuff, can't you? I thought as soon as Badgers popped up and just the circumstances around them last season, both these 2 sides, I'm going 1-1. I don't need much else. I'll just go with that. Hull and Southampton, though, is quite a toughie. Obviously, they ended up drawing in the first, whatever it's called, South Coast Derby, something like that, with Southampton and Portsmouth. 0-0, not a lot of quality from either side. I do think that probably suited Portsmouth a little bit more, and I did predict to draw in that anyway, so I do know what I'm on about, guys. But despite them being another one at favourites for top of division, when you come down for Premier League, regardless of state that they did come down in, the players that they've got, Will Stiller's gaffer, who's had a lot of hype surrounding him, you'd expect them to have started better than they have done. But at the same time, Ipswich are on the same amount of points, and I think they'll win league. So 5 games in, there's not a lot to go off just yet. Hull defensively do look quite shit. They've conceded 11 in 5. But the one thing that I do like, and I said it in the review that I did, I just love when teams play to the striker's strengths. And that is what Hull are doing with McBurney. So regardless of the defensive issues that are just obviously there, I always will come into these, I think, giving him a goal just because of McBurney. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists. It was such a smart pickup from these. And for a side that more or less everybody thinks are going to be in a relegation battle in all, and everybody's almost got Southampton as a top sixer. You just look at this and think, well, Southampton win, but I don't think I'm going to go with that. And despite a poor start for Southampton, they have only lost one game at home to Stoke, who again are second in division at a minute. But I don't think there will be many where they actually lose. Do you know what I mean? I think they're always going to be in games, Southampton. There's not going to be... You could probably count on one hand the amount of games they will lose all season. Even if they end up finishing third or fourth and they don't end up top two, I think they will draw a lot of games because I just think they've not really got the bite at top end at pitch, me. But I don't think they'll lose a lot. They've got so much quality within that squad that you just don't expect them to give up ball a great deal. I think they will dominate the majority of games. And I think a bit same here. I do think they will probably dictate tempo in this. But I could just see Hull breaking down over random at Burnley scoring an equaliser or something. I don't think they'll have loads of shots, Hull, or maybe even deserve anything. But I'll probably go with a draw in this, Hull and Southampton. 2 draws in a row for Southampton as well. They had a Desmond with Watford before a Portsmouth game that were 0-0. I'll just meet in middle and have another 1-1. There were quite a lot of them last weekend as well. I'll go Hull at 1 and Southampton at 1. Now, Norwich and Wrexham. I'm quite vocal and big on the fact that I think Parkinson is inevitably going to get sacked this season. I almost think there's nothing he, with his skill set, can do. I do think he has taken him as far as he can. And with the level of squad, I just don't see it being much longer before he gets debuted. And I don't think a inevitable loss for me here away at Norwich is going to help his cause. They've been quite unlucky with injuries so far, like that Kakase fella got injured, Windass got injured. It's a couple of the starters that have been sat on bench for a few weeks now. And I definitely think they'll score here. Again, similar to what I said about Hull, Wrexham played to keep for more strengths. They're not making him run channel. They're plopping him out 6-yard box and just saying, just bounce it off his noggin. And you are going to get some goals off back of that. Especially partnered with how much they got annihilated Norwich. I know they snagged a 1 apiece away at Cov. But how they didn't lose that, the amount of shots that Coventry created, I don't think it's going to be an absolute walk in park for him here. I do think Norwich have got some of the best players in this division, full stop. I think Sargent's best striker in league. I do think some of the defenders, personnel-wise, look quite good, but as a collective, they look quite weak. And Wrexham, I do expect to score because of it. But I just think the Sargent aspect, and again, Parkinson, I feel, same as Birmingham manager, I don't think he almost knows his best 11 again. And it's hard to do, to be fair. I don't think I know the best 11. I don't think anybody truly does at minute, with the amount of players that they've brought in. But that defence got spun by QPR numerous times. It couldn't have finished more than 3-1, and that's at Wrexham's ground, where they were so sturdy last season and have been for years on end. Obviously, the amount of players that they've brought in defence, it's ridiculous. In every position, it's just ridiculous, the amount of players that they've brought in. But if they rock that same defence, which I don't think they will anyway after getting tonked off QPR, I think Sargent could make somewhere among the boots up. We are crap they looked against QPR. But I'm going for a Norwich win. And by my own calculations, that gives Parkinson 1 more game after this one. If they lose this, they'll probably be in bottom 3 because they're on 4 points. All it takes is Oxford or Wednesday to win it. Well, all it takes is Oxford to win a game for him to be in there. But the Sargent aspect is something that I cannot ignore. I will go 3-1 to Norwich. I will go back-to-back 3-1 losses for the Wrexham boys. Portsmouth on Wednesday. I mean, it's a good point for Portsmouth away at Southampton, isn't it? The last 3 games have done really good, Portsmouth. Away at West Brom and Southampton, 2 probably top 6ers, or sides that will definitely be top half and chasing it. Got a point against them both, and then bet Preston at home 1-0. Who, again, well-drilled side. It's Preston's only loss so far this season. Wednesday, absolutely dog shit, so Portsmouth, obviously fantastic at home. Wouldn't surprise me if Wednesday win, to be honest, but I'll go for like a sturdy 2-0. We'll go for 2-0 Pompey. Should be an absolute breeze. And if they're 2-0 up before half-time, they can probably just take foot off gas like 90% of teams will do against Wednesday this season. But it should be a very comfortable win. You lucky little bastard. He's done it again. Oh, right, obviously Voldemort's back in case you'd missed it. Wilder is back at Sheffield United. I'll tell you what, if they'd have kept him for 1 more week, I think Charlton would have come and properly turned these over. With Nathan Jones and just like the bullying side of things, I do think it would have been very Millwall. And Millwall come to Sheffield United and won a couple of games ago. But obviously now with Wilder coming back, and whatever you actually think of the bloke, he's a very good manager for Sheffield United. So it never made any sense from sacking him in first place. It's just absolute lunacy to sack a fellow that got 92 points. But anyway, it's been and gone now. He's back. And I think this is the mother of all bouncers. Never mind a new manager bounce. This is the 3rd time he's been here. He was sacked 3 months ago with 92 points. If they don't win this game, I'll be shocked. This, to me, is the biggest banker at weekend. If you've got a last man standing, don't listen to me because I went out at first week. But Sheffield United will be my pick, personally. One thing I would say, though, I do think Sheffield United's midfield still definitely lacks the presence of Sousa and the height and the physical aspect. Even though that weren't really his game and he just had a really good reading of it and his football ability just definitely was the main attribute with Sousa. The stature of him and the athletic side was a bonus. But I think the missing size in middle of park, if they're rocking, Arblas is injured at the minute, but if they've got this Matos and Peck or O'Hare, it's such a small midfield, and I do think they could get bullied in a lot of games because of it, regardless of Wilder being manager. I don't think this will be the case here, because I just expect him to come in and probably, well, you can't just flick a switch and expect the worst side of division to immediately win every game. But I think they'll have so much about them. They'll have a rocket up their ass, all these players, because you want to impress fella who's, well, he's not new, is he? But you want to impress new gaffer. And I think they should easily win this. They've got a team that's considerably better than Charlton's. I do think Nathan Jones, being the sticky bastard that he is, would have been the one to beat Millwall for the first time in 30 years, and they ended up drawing that. I don't think he's going to come and sport part here, even though that is his speciality. I'll go 2-0 Sheffield. It should be a bit of a doddle, but I don't think it's as easy as it's going to come in, sunshine and rainbows, everything's dandy again, you get 100 points. I do think the midfield is definitely a weak point for Sheffield in other games, but not this one. Should win, 2-0. Bristol City and Oxford, never mind. Wrexham aren't going into bottom 3 because Sheffield United are on 0 points, so they'll not catch them. Wednesday crap, and Oxford aren't winning this game. They've done well in the last 2 games to get points off of Coventry and Leicester, 2 top sides, Oxford. But I also think they missed a trick getting what could have been the first win when they're playing 10-men Leicester for at least an hour. And Bristol City, again, people I think are sleeping on them a little bit. They are 3rd in division. They've won 3, drawn 2. They've not lost. They've scored 12 goals, only conceded 4. They look very, very well organised. And Struber just is a fantastic tactical manager anyway. People didn't really see it where Barnsley when he was last year, or didn't take as much notice. It kept us up on last day, but we had a bunch of muppets in that team. Bristol City's 11 and just squad in general is very, very solid. I think the strength in depth is something that I've not seen Bristol City have since they got promoted a few years ago now. And against an Oxford side that is one of the weakest in division, and Bristol City were 3-0 up against Wednesday in half an hour. So we can't even use the kids aspect and the fact that they've got no players, Sheff Wednesday, because it was the best 11, and Bristol City took foot off gas in first half. They just could. It was just that easy for them. I do think they will win again here. I am starting to worry a little bit about Oxford now because they still make it 6 without a win and only 2 points. But Bristol City should win this fairly comfortably. I might just go for another 2-0, same as the Sheffield United one. I will do that. Normally I went 2-1 last season with Bristol City, but I think they look a lot sharper, even defensively. So I'll go 2-0 Bristol City. They look a very good side. Millwall and Watford on Monday night. No, I am not doing a watch long for this. Jesus. I will be watching the game though. Come on, Millwall. But 2 scrappy sides. I expect more from Millwall, but it also never surprises me that the fact that they just can't put more than 2 wins in a row together. Watford, very hot and cold, but last couple of games it has just been cold. They got a point off Southampton, to be fair, and a point against Swansea away, which ain't bad at all, but they lost 1-0 at home to Blackburn. Quite hit and miss, but Millwall are the exact same. The logic that I would apply to Millwall, and to be fair, it very rarely fails me. If you think they will win, say they'll lose. If you truly look at this fixture and think, Millwall will probably win this game, put them for a loss, and you'll probably be right. I'm not overly keen on Watford's team so far. This is the first full night I'm going to have watched of them, so I can actually get a bit of a understanding now of what they are and how they like to play. But I just think, are you going to want to go away to Millwall? Do you know what I mean? Are you going to go away to Millwall and win? Let's have a look at recent fixtures between these two. Watford won their last season 3-2. Well, that shuts me up. I do think defensively they look good, Millwall, but Ivanovic hasn't really got going yet. I don't think they're offering a great deal going forward. It was a scrappy shit game anyway against Charlton, but it were going to be. But I don't think they offered the most going forward anyway, even in the better seasons, Millwall. But so far, they've really just not got going. And it is one of them, like I said, if you think Millwall will win, then say that they're going to lose. So I will say Millwall 1-0 win. And that's that. Kiss. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. Helps me out a lot. Love you all and I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man. Yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.